Close your eyes and think about the next year of your life. What do you want the next year of your life to look like? Begin by making a wish. That's how I began 2 years ago. Yep, my business was upside down, kids were in shambles, my husband was struggling with depression, and I was struggling with everything. I had to create a break from that moment of pain and allow myself to see something different. At the time, I had no idea what the new chapter of my life would be or could be. Here's what I did know. I don't want to stay in this one. And that's all you need to know. All you need to know is you don't want to stay in the place that you're in right now. That right there is a wish for something better. If you know what you don't want, it's very easy to change. As soon as you start removing or letting go of things that aren't working, you'll see all new possibilities.
Need motivation?
You better watch a Top 10 with Believe Nation.
Hey, it's Carmichael, and I make these videos because in my first business, I struggled to believe in myself. I quit on my business partner. And the thing that saved me was watching the successful stories of entrepreneurs. They gave me the inspiration to keep going, as well as the strategies of what to do. And quite honestly, I still need their stories and motivation today as well. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Mel Robbins, and my take on her top 10 rules of success. Enjoy.
No matter how you feel, start taking the actions that align with what you want in your life. Stop making the mistake of waiting to feel happy or motivated before you take action. The secret, it's taking action first. Because if you can get moving, you can keep moving. And research shows that just a little boost in your mood impacts your productivity for the rest of the day. It impacts your focus. It gives you a little uptick in energy. Taking actions that align with the bigger vision and the future you, it taps into this huge body of research called behavioral activation therapy. Now, you're going to learn a tremendous amount about this therapy modality in future episodes of the Mel Robbins podcast, but here's how I'd summarize it for you. Act like the person you want to become in the future, no matter how you feel in the present moment. Look, I know it sounds simple. Act like the future you. But this is grounded in decades of research, and it works. This is how I've made every single change in my life. Once I figure out what I want to do or the kind of person I want to become, I figure out someone else in the world that's doing it, and I just reverse engineer it. And that's how you create a brick path that leads from where you are right now to where that wish of yours wants to take you. And every morning, wake up, take one action that aligns with what you want or the person that you want to become. And you can consider that action, it represents one brick. And if you keep doing that day by day, brick by brick, action by action, you're going to look up a year from now and you'll realize, oh my God, I just paved a brick path leading to my dreams. What the heck?
Rule number 2 is control your time.
You are in control of the one thing that everybody cares about, that everybody complains about, and everybody's trying to steal from you, and that is your time. And in fact, if you're worried about not having enough time, let me tell you something that I know about you. You're not using your time effectively. You're not being deliberate about how you're spending your time. And the problem isn't time and whether or not you have enough of it. The problem is you're not being completely selfish, deliberate, and just in control of how you're spending it. You're letting other people distract you. You're letting your negative beliefs distract you. And so that's got to stop today. Because here's the truth. Whether you're 70 or you're 77, you have plenty of time to start working toward the things that you care about. One of the things that I wear right now is my little My Intent bracelet, this little thing. And my word for the year is deliberate. And when it comes to time, you have to be deliberate because you have plenty of time. It's a matter of whether or not you're being deliberate about how you're using it. And that's the thing that you have to stop. You got to stop giving your time away. You got to stop wasting your time with people you don't care about. You got to stop wasting time listening to the excuses from the past. They don't apply. You can make anything happen if you just start putting in the work. And that's going to require you to get deliberate about making the time to do the work. And you can do the work that you need to do to change your life 10 minutes a day. That's it. Start working 10 minutes a day. Start taking an online course. Start investigating going back to school. Start following people that inspire you around launching your own business. You have time. So stop with the habit of telling yourself you don't.
Rule number 3 is be realistic and rigorous.
The only advice that's going to work is advice that you flex to work in your life. And so one of the reasons why I'm constantly sharing these really simple things to do is because that's the only things that I can fit into my life. My life is very complicated, just like yours. And so I can't fit in 2 hours of exercise, but I can fit in 15 minutes. I can't fit in training for a marathon right now, but I can get a walk in 3 days a week. And so what you're going to find is that if you hold yourself to an impossible standard, you're going to feel like that standard is impossible. If you become not only realistic about the demands of your life, but you also become very rigorous about what you demand of yourself in terms of, I'm not going to force myself to some ridiculous standard. I got 2 toddlers. I'm a single parent. It's not safe for me to walk alone outside and leave them. I just can't do it. So what can I do? And so when you say, so that's just hopefully getting rid of like the kind of comparison thing, because I do it too. I often have this conversation with Christine, who's our chief operating officer of 143 Studios, which is our production company, and she's also my sister-in-law. And I love her because I'm like the flighty, creative ball dropper genius type person, right? I call myself a genius, like in jest, but I'm creatively fruity all over the place, just flying high. She is a CFO, Excel spreadsheet, get everything in the columns kind of lady. Mel says yes, Christine says no. That's basically the joke inside the company. Mel said yes, but Christine said no. So anyway, I was complaining to her the other day because, of course, like you, I bash myself when I see other people out achieving me because I've got to win some imaginary competition here in life. And I see a friend of mine who is going on a book tour. And he is going on a book tour that is lasting 3 months. And I turned to Christine. I'm like, this is unbelievable. It's so cool. Da, 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 da. And she turned to me and she goes, he doesn't have children. You can't be on the road that long, Mel. Like, it's not going to work for you. And I'm like, oh, that's right. She's like, you got to stop comparing yourself to people whose lives don't look like yours. You will never be able to achieve what somebody who is a single male can achieve because you've got other demands on your time right now. You will never be able to achieve what a 23-year-old can do right now because you've got aging parents and 3 kids and a business to run. And so please stop making yourself feel like because you are looking at somebody who has totally different life circumstances than you. And by the way, this does not mean that there's something wrong with a 23-year-old fitness influencer. I think that's freaking fantastic that somebody's doing that with their life. There's nothing wrong with somebody who is going on a book tour for 3 months. I think that's fantastic. And there's clearly a part of me that wants to do more of that. But at the moment, I got to face reality. And the reality is, based on my values, based on what life looks like right now, I'm not going to do that. But what I can do is figure out what advice I respond to, what changes I want to make, and then I can fit that into my life.
Rule number 4 is find your motivation.
In making powerful change in your life, find the proof that you can do it. It's all around you. You just need to look for it. Find anyone that has the life that you want or that has made the change that you want to make. The relationship, the career, the body, the family, the friend group. Anytime you see someone who has already made the change you want to make in your life, tell yourself, there's proof. It exists. Use people as evidence that, yes, you can have what you wish for too, if you're willing to work for it. See people as a light on the path to your future self. For years, that was not me. I was the opposite. I did not see other people as lights on my path. I saw people as robbing me of the lights that I wanted. I had this really stingy, jealous, and insecure attitude. If a friend of mine was renovating their kitchen, I would smile, that tight smile that people have when they're faking a smile. And I'd go, oh, it's so pretty. I love the white cabinets. But inside, I was seething with jealousy. And the reason why is because I believed that somebody else's happiness or success somehow was robbing me of mine. It's the opposite. Their beautiful kitchen means if I can work for it, I can have one too. Their amazing relationships means I can create it too. Their success or the business they've built means it's possible for you too. This alone, if you just do this third step, this one mindset flip, it is a complete game changer. Here's how you do it. There is unlimited success, happiness, and fulfillment in the world. You're not in competition with anyone. The only one that can rob you of the success, happiness, and fulfillment that you deserve is you and your excuses and fears and sitting around waiting to feel motivated. We're going to stop that today. Correct? Good. I'm glad you're listening because we're not doing that anymore. You're not going to wait 6 years to get started. You are going to start taking actions that align with what you want now. And when you see other people as evidence of what's possible for you, as you start seeing them not as extinguishing your light, but lighting the path that you're now walking on, holy cow, talk about throwing gasoline on that internal fire of yours. And by the way, don't you ever forget, you are a light on the path for someone else, and you don't even realize it. So think about that for a second. You are just a step or two ahead of someone else. I mean, if you've grieved the loss of a loved one, if you've changed your career, if you've survived heartache, if you've sold a family home, if you've reinvented some aspect of your life, if you've lost weight, if you're able to live with depression, if you were the first in your family to graduate from college, your life experience proves to someone else that it's possible for them too. So you better make sure that as you start chipping away at your own wishes and goals, that you hold that light up a little bit higher for everybody that's behind you.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there. Rule number 5 is think positively.
When you have a limiting belief, so that default network in your mind is programmed to think you're not enough, or the default network in your mind is programmed to think it never works out for me, or the default network in your mind is programmed to say, I'm never going to make it. What happens with a limiting belief is that you actively, because of the default network in your brain, is your brain is actively filtering in and out information that agrees with the limiting belief. And so your whole mind is set up to view the world and look for evidence that you're not enough, that things aren't working out, that you're never going to make it. So there's a big difference between the reality that you're food compromised, the reality that you're unemployed, the reality that you're living with depression, the reality that you're divorced, the reality that you dropped out of school and you want to go back and now study to become a nurse. Those are harsh or can be harsh realities. It can be liberating realities for some people, not everybody, of course, because those are very, very real and tough circumstances, okay, to be food deprived. I don't mean to say that that's a liberating circumstance. I meant it from the dropping out and going back to school. So let me be clear. Very harsh reality to be food compromised. Very harsh reality to be unemployed. Very harsh reality to live with depression. Very harsh reality to get dumped. Very harsh reality to have a diagnosis that's terrifying. Get it. I totally get it. That is very different than having the harsh reality be your brain and you've got a terrible diagnosis, and all your brain is doing is saying, I'm going to die. I'm never going to survive this. My chances are blah, 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 blah. You got it? So that you're making it worse because of your default settings. I want to train you, regardless of the harsh circumstances that you're living in, that you get to choose how you view the circumstances. You get to choose how you view the future. You get to choose whether or not you see nothing but problems, nothing but excuses, nothing but reasons to be depressed and sad and to check out, or whether you can train yourself to still have hope, to still get up and try, to still get up and be positive, to still get up and look for opportunities to make your life just a little bit better. That's the difference between harsh realities and your limiting beliefs. Harsh realities are temporary. You can change them. Limiting beliefs will keep you stuck in a permanent mental state because you are continuing to look for evidence to make negative beliefs true. And that's why we want to turn you into a deliberate thinker.
Rule number 6 is learn to focus.
The businesses that were launched by somebody like you who was working full time while launching your business had a 33% less chance of failing than the people that quit their jobs and jump all in. And the reason why is you know how to hedge your bets. You're a little conservative in terms of the risks that you'll take, which means over the long term, your business is more likely to succeed. You asked me, how do I balance my passions? How do you find the time? Because I, like you, have a million things going on. From being an on-air commentator to CNN, to having an incredible partnership with Success Magazine and doing a ton of cool stuff with them, to giving over 80 speeches a year and running a company and having a family. The key is this. You must find 30 minutes before 7:30 in the morning. 30 minutes before 7:30 that you take at home, that you take at a coffee shop, where you organize your day and you work on 2 things that will push your business forward. 30 minutes before 7:30. Why do you need to do this? Well, because when you walk into work, your day is likely going to get hijacked. And secondly, if you were to take this time every single morning and focus yourself, you're now starting your day having already done work to advance your business, and you're walking into your current job knowing what you need to get done. That's going to make you work smarter at work. I think a lot of people that are working a job full time and also trying to launch a business on the side actually have the time. The problem is that you're not being rigorous and focused about what you're spending it on.
Rule number 7 is overcome the imposter syndrome.
What you're dealing with when you have imposter syndrome is you're dealing with a lack of self-worth. You literally kind of see all the things working out, but you've got this like annoying voice in your head that's saying, you don't deserve this. This is luck. How many of you have that story? This is luck. This is going to run out. This isn't due to me. Yeah, we got to literally destroy that voice. That is from your past. And part of the reason why you have that voice, by the way, is because of racism. It's because of discrimination. It's because of childhood trauma. It's because of various experiences that you've had, where either your experiences growing up or society at large has made you feel either overtly or in a really like gross and sort of sly way, like you don't belong. And so it is critical for you to start to punch that voice literally out of your head. And I'm going to give you some steps to do it, okay? The second thing that's really important is that in addition to stopping down that voice, because it's not your voice, that is somebody else's voice that your brain listened to and then started repeating. And the thing about your brain is that your brain is this really cool computer that learns patterns. And what I want you to understand is that patterns repeat unless you break and replace them. And if you have a pattern of thinking, like what Heidi has, that says, you're not worthy, you don't deserve this, luck is going to run out, At some point, the you know what's going to hit the fan again. Brace. Don't count on anything. Like you didn't earn this. If you got that pattern running in your head, that is a broken pattern. You're not broken. That pattern of thinking is broken. And so the line in the sand that I want to draw starting today is you're not allowed to listen to that garbage anymore. We are going to go on a mission together to notice whenever it comes up. Oh, interesting. There it is. There's that pattern. It's spinning just like a load of laundry right up there. And I'm going to teach you, once you recognize that pattern, you're going to use this thing that I created called the 5-second rule. You're going to count backwards 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, because that shuts that down. And counting backwards, let's all do it together. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now notice when you counted, did you feel a little pressure right here? Yeah, that was me hypnotizing you. No, I'm just kidding. What you were feeling is by counting backwards, it's a little brain hack that interrupts all the garbage that's here in the interior part of your brain. This is where imposter syndrome lives, everybody. This is where anxiety is. This is where self-doubt is. This is where self-criticism is. This is where it's all stored. When you notice, oh, there's that voice again, and you count backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you shut it down, and then you awaken this part of your brain. This is the part of the brain that you used when you were taking the SATs. This is the part of the brain that you used when you applied for that job, when you speak up in that meeting, when you tell somebody, no, you cannot borrow my dress tonight. No. When you have boundaries, right? This is the part of the brain that gives you immediate control over what you think and do next. And so that's a really important thing. Number one, you're going to notice it. Number two, you're going to name it. So let's give that jerk in your brain a name. So Heidi, what do you want to name this thing? Like close your eyes and think about it. And everybody close your eyes and think about like that voice, that nasty, stinky, awful, skanky, gross voice in your head. I want to kind of get an image in your mind. It could be a cartoon character. It could be a human being. It could be like some little pimply, ugly person from middle school that you feel sorry for now. Okay? Yeah, because when you laugh at the voice, it doesn't have control over you like it did, right? We want to make this less serious. So what's the name you're going to give your voice?
Well, I was thinking the voice, but maybe something like, I don't know, Rocky, Spiky.
Spiky. Okay. What name do you want to give your voice? Linda.
Bob.
Bob. Okay. How do you say your name?
Sedania.
Sedania.
Yes.
Great name. What are you going to give your voice?
Maybe Peabody.
Peabody. I got it. I got it. Okay. How about you? What's your voice?
Bill.
Bill. Ooh, conviction. There's a human being like that talking to you. Bill, we are going to shut Bill down, okay? What about Isabella?
Broccoli.
Broccoli?
I hate broccoli.
She hates broccoli. I love that. That's great. How about you?
Josh.
Josh. Okay, great. So whenever you hear that voice, what I'm teaching you is to use the science of objectivity to distance yourself from that voice. Okay? This is so important because you are not that voice. Welcome in, everybody. Actually, pull up your chairs closer. Do not sit that far away from me. Come on. Yep, let's go. You are not late. You are right on time. Let's welcome them in. Okay? Yep, louder. Clap louder. Super important, everybody, in life to make people feel welcome. Super important to invite people, especially other women, to have a seat at the table. And one of the things that I've learned, and then I'm going to catch you all up on where we're at, okay? One of the things I've learned is that, you know, there's so much success to go around. Have you wrapped your brain around the fact that there are, 8 billion people on this planet? There is so much success to go around. There's so much happiness. There's a tremendous amount of money to make. There's a ton of people to date. And when you focus on the fact that there is limitless possibilities for you, you're not in competition with anybody in this room. And the louder you cheer for other people, the more you invite people in, the more you will be invited in and the more cheering there will be for you. It is incredible when you can flip your mind from being jealous and competitive and small-minded, like if she's getting that, it means I don't. Oh, no, 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 no. If you see somebody getting something that you want, it's evidence that you can have it too. You're just going to get it and have it in your own way. And so you want to make it a habit to cheer for and celebrate all the women, everybody you see around you, because their success means you can have it too. And trust me, if you are a talented, hardworking, kind person, a company will make room for you. They will find another job doing that same thing. And so you focus on you. You focus on being the best you. And I promise you, all the other people around you that are having those things that you want, that's evidence you can have it too. I like to think of other people as a light on the path I'm walking down. They're shining a light that helps me walk in the direction of what I want.
Rule number 8 is remove limiting beliefs.
Angie, why is it so easy to fill out limiting beliefs, but almost paralyzing to figure out an alternative, think this, not that? How many of you are having trouble with this? It's very easy to see where you doubt yourself, but it's super hard to come up with the alternative thought that you're going to substitute. Well, the reason why it's hard is because you actually believe these thoughts. And these thoughts have become patterns, and they've become habits, and they've become so prevalent in your life that they're almost like the co-host of your life. If you think about it, you are the star of your life. But if the supporting actor is a limiting belief that constantly tells you that you're not good enough, or that you're not worthy, or that you'll never succeed, then it's no wonder that you believe it, because the co-star of your life is your limiting beliefs. And so it's not easy to change your limiting beliefs, but it is simple. And it begins with you identifying them and then substituting them. So the most, I think, effective way of beginning the process of teaching yourself how to identify a limiting belief and then come up with your own substitute positive belief as a way to change the negative pattern in your mind is to use the power of objectivity. So write down all your limiting beliefs. And I'm going to go through this in detail in just a second. Write down all your limiting beliefs. I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. Nothing works out for me. Nobody's going to love me. Whatever the it is that you think that's bringing you down. And then you can ask yourself this. What would Mel say? If Mel were sitting here across from me, what would Mel say? Another thing you can do, you can write the opposite of what you're thinking. And you may not believe it. It's okay. Because what we're doing is training you in a new pattern. And one of the things that Angie asked is she wanted to know, what were my limiting beliefs? So yesterday we sent out this workbook, the Best Decade Ever Toolkit. It's in your email. If you go to the Facebook group, Best Decade Ever with Mel Robbins, it's also listed on the files. You'll find the download for this. Check your junk email if you didn't get it. But so my limiting beliefs. So I want to have the #1 talk show of the decade. And the #1 talk show of the decade right now seems to be Ellen. And so it's interesting because a lot of my limiting beliefs, I think, are provoked by the fact that I'm the newcomer in a space that I have huge dreams of making a mark in and dominating. So one of my limiting beliefs is someone's already done it. How many of you have that one? My dream has already been done. So my substitute thought, because this feels kind of true, doesn't it? Somebody's already done it. And then my substitute thought, the think this, not that, is, well, they haven't done it my way yet. It hasn't been done by me yet. Do you see what I mean? So somebody else has done it. Okay, I get it. It hasn't been done by me yet. It'll never happen. It'll never happen. How many of you have that limiting belief? It'll never happen. My substitute belief, it hasn't happened yet. So I'm acknowledging that it hasn't happened, but I'm adding on the yet as a way to keep my mind in the positive. It didn't happen last time, so it's not going to happen this time. How many of you have that one? Yeah. This is what I say. I wasn't ready then. I'm ready now. Because it didn't happen last time because I didn't know everything I know now. I'm ready now. I don't deserve it. How many of you have this limiting belief? I don't deserve it. My thought is, if I work hard, I'll earn it. Do you see that? So it flips from a statement where I'm bashing my self-worth, I don't deserve it, to a statement about putting in the effort. If I work hard, I'll earn it. Oh, I've got this story that I'm the bad news bears, that I'm literally like the person with the worst equipment, and I'm the underdog, and I'm underfunded, and why does it have to be so hard, and why does it seem so much easier for everybody else, and blah, 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 blah. And I flip that into, I love being underestimated, and I love being the underdog. In a very weird way, as much as it exhausts me, it also empowers me. Here's a specific limiting belief. How the am I going to compete with Ellen? I can't compete with Ellen. Especially when she's been at it for 20 years. She has the budget of God and an army of people that are supporting her. I mean, there was something she did announce yesterday on social media that I was so like, oh, of course. And I was so jealous. She announced a partnership with Starbucks where she's encouraging people to pay for somebody's coffee using the Starbucks app behind them in line. And then take a video of it and upload it. And they're going to bring them on the show. And I was like, oh, will I ever get there? Will I ever get to do cool stuff like that? And the answer is yeah. She proves it's possible. And also, I can take the 10 years and be like, and in 20 years, I won't even recognize the cool stuff I'll be able to doing if I put in the work. So take that jealousy or somebody else or whatever and say it proves it's possible. Now put in the work. So those are some of my limiting beliefs, and that's how you can do it. And by the way, if you can't do that exercise successfully on your own, post in the Facebook group and tell people this is your limiting belief. Can somebody help you come up with a substitute positive belief so that you can think this, not that? Ask somebody in your life to help you. And then what you do is when you find yourself going down the route of that negative thought, it'll never happen. You're going to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, use the 5-second rule to interrupt the negative belief. And then you are going to insert the positive belief. It hasn't happened yet. That's it.
Rule number 9 is dream big.
Adopt a simple habit. Every single morning, I do a very simple thing. I write down 5 things that I want. That's it. When I start my day, after I get up when the alarm rings, I make my bed, I pull on my exercise clothes, I set an intention, I high-five myself in the mirror, I then go out into the kitchen, I crack open my high-five journal, and then inside the journal there are prompts that walk me through the steps of visualizing. And the first prompt is dream with the lid off. Set your spirit free. Write down 5 things every morning that you want. And this is important because when you get what you want out of your head and you physically put them on a piece of paper, research shows that you're 42% more likely to achieve those goals simply by writing them down. That's pretty cool. Secondly, your mind is paying attention. And when you take deliberate action and you write down what you want, you are signaling to your brain that you deserve to have these things. You are signaling to your brain that you do want those things. You're not just going to think about them. These are things that matter to you. And that helps train your mind to allow you to let the desires flow through you. Because right now, you're not manifesting properly because you're not even allowing yourself to dream with the lid off. So that's step number 1. You're going to start writing down 5 things that you want every single morning as a way to train your mind to let you dream freely.
And rule number 10, the last one before some very special bonus clips, is do nothing on purpose.
It's a message everybody needs to hear because there's only one thing I want you to do this week. Nothing. Do nothing. Wait a minute. Mel Robbins, are you smoking something over there? Did you just say do nothing? And here's the funny part about this. I bet you might be doing something right now because you're a multitasker and so am I. You're listening to me while you're doing the dishes, while you're walking the dogs. Heck, you and I might be at the point in our relationship where you are actually sitting on the toilet and I'm in the bathroom stall with you as you're listening to this. Don't tell me that you have not taken me into the bathroom because I can even feel it over here. And I say this because we got to talk about the art of doing nothing. And look, I'm not stupid enough to think that you can actually do nothing. I mean, obviously not. This is like a metaphorical conversation because you probably have to work. I personally love working between the week of Christmas and New Year because nobody's there. So you can kind of like work half a day and you get the full-time pay and it's way more stress-free and you can get more done because you aren't in a million meetings. But if you do have the time off, let me guess. What are you doing with the time off? You're rearranging your cupboards. You're probably trying to learn Spanish. You're doing a million things on your to-do list. You are like just keeping busy. This week, just stop. Please. I want to explain this concept, this metaphor of doing nothing. Being able to do nothing, whether it's just for a minute or it's for a day or it's for a week, this is so important. And I'm having the conversation not only with you, I am talking to myself right now too. I have a hard time doing nothing. Why? Well, because I'm just like you. I'm addicted to being busy. I'm addicted to my to-do list, writing them out, crossing them off, throwing them away, losing them, writing another one. Especially in the world today, the world has glamorized being productive, being busy, go, 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 hustles, hustle culture, having a side hustle. I mean, there's so much to hustle around. Some days I literally have no idea what I'm doing. You may always be on the go like I am, but are you actually getting anywhere?
Self-worth. I gave myself a 9 because, I've done the work. One of the reasons why I think what we talk about really resonates with you is that it's real. I didn't read this in some book, and now I'm curating it for you. This is all stuff that we've tried, that has been road tested, that has been earned through the ups and downs of life. And I also offer up everything that I say to you, not as a mandate, even though sometimes I'm incredibly passionate about what I'm saying, but I offer it up as something for you to consider. Because at the end of the day, it's your life. And you get to choose how you want to live it. You get to choose whether or not you're going to suffer through it. You get to choose whether or not you're going to be happy through it. You get to choose whether or not you're going to continue to live with the stories from your past, or whether or not you're going to update them and change for the better. Because you're the one that will reap the benefits or suffer the consequences. And so any passion comes from the fact that I used to be a miserable person. I used to hate myself. I used to destroy relationships because of my own self-loathing. And I still have some work to do. I was talking to Tara, a very good friend of ours who is also my favorite yoga instructor. And she was talking today about how she just felt really sad. And I was saying to her, I can relate to that because while I'm very fulfilled, I feel disconnected. And I still have parts of my life where I don't like myself. And I think that's normal. And there are parts of my life where I still have armor up. And this is the year, even though I've spent a decade really digging deep and curing my anxiety and identifying the limiting beliefs that I have and trying to be deliberate about updating the story that I have, that I tell myself about myself, and that I don't deserve it, that nobody likes me, that I'm not doing a good job, that at some point this is all going to disappear, that, I don't matter. All those just crappy things that you say to yourself. And so I've done a lot of work. And so while my self-worth is at a 9, I'm very proud of the work. I still have a lot of work to do. And so this is going to be a year where I go deeper. And what does that mean? I don't know yet. It probably means that I think I'd like to try to find a therapist. I think it'd be really cool, especially as I'm taking on all these things that are more confronting. It means that I want to do more listening. I'm going to do a lot of talking, but a little less talking and a little more listening. I want to consume more content instead of being focused on creating it. That's been a big missing for me is, I stand up on a lot of stages and speak. I'd like to sit in an audience and listen here and there, and be more deliberate about my own development because there's still a lot that I got to learn. And as we take on new challenges in this company, and again, what direction does life go in? Forward. And as life goes forward and as our business goes forward and as opportunities come and they go and as some things are successful and some things are a disaster, it's going to require me to go deeper. And so that's what I'm going to be deliberate about. So my body, micro exercise. My work is about a digital focus. My money is about socking money away personally and about also diversifying income streams business-wise. My love life is being more deliberate, so a date a week with Chris. He has the flu right now, so I'm not going near him. It's not going to happen today. Friendships, being a better friend, and my self-worth going deeper. I want to teach you how to train yourself to dream big. It's actually a skill. And dreaming big is something that we used to do as kids, right? It was so easy as kids to sit in class because you were bored with, whatever it was that your teacher was doing, and you started to daydream. And as adults, we tend to lose that ability. So the Dream Book is going to be your companion to this program. And here's my philosophy about training yourself to dream big again as an adult. In the Dream Book, one of the things that you're going to be doing as a daily practice is you're going to do something that I do in my book. And that is every time I crack this open, because I keep my notes in here, is I write down the 5 things that I dream about. So I've written down, okay, I'm super embarrassed that I've written this down. So I'm going to tell you what my 5 are. And you can see, you probably can't see how red I'm turning because I have so much makeup on because I was in television today. And in television, they put a lot of makeup on you. In digital, I normally look like shit. But this is why we all need to learn to dream big and to dream authentically, because when you talk about it, you immediately shrink because we're trained not to have these aspirations. So the first thing that I wrote down is I want to be the #1 talk show in the United States. You know what's so fascinating is I used to dream of just actually being where I am. And now that I've achieved that, I have a dream that's even bigger. And what does it mean and why is this dream important to me? And this is part of what you're going to learn in the workbook, but I'll tell you why this dream is important to me. Because if we are #1, it means that the work that we're doing that I care so deeply about, which is helping people heal their minds and heal their relationships and to live a more positive, happy, mentally well life, that we're reaching more people. That's what that means. And that's why I want it. I wrote down #1 New York Times bestseller. I have for years said I don't give a shit about it, but I actually do, I guess. And I think it's because it would be really nice to have the powers that be actually acknowledge the impact that we're making. Do I need it to keep going forward? No, of course not. And I will keep going forward. I want to make the Time 100 list for mental health and for the work that we're doing. And the reason why is because as much as I like being an entrepreneur that does things in a very innovative way, that kind of public recognition brings with it resources and partners that would allow you to make an even bigger impact. And so when I think about that kind of recognition, it challenges me to dream so much bigger than I'm dreaming right now about the impact that I want to make in mental health. The 4th one, this is not my dream right now, but I wrote this down 3 days ago, and that is to be the happiest I've ever been living in Vermont. The reason why I wrote that down at the time is because my son is going to go to high school in Vermont, and we are grappling with a move. And I had a mental breakdown when we started looking at houses there, thinking I couldn't live here. One of the interesting things about dreaming is your dreams will change. I love the daily practice of writing in your dream book the 5 things you're dreaming about, because you'll notice that there are things that show up consistently for you, and that's a sign that it's important to pay attention to it. It's important to walk toward it. And by writing, I dream that I'd be the happiest I'd ever be in Vermont,
I was doing the work of trying to shift my attitude about how I was feeling about a move when I'm not that excited about it right now. The fifth one is I want to build a summer house. I grew up on Lake Michigan. I've spent the last 30 years not on the water. I dream to be successful enough that someday, in the next decade, I will have the money to buy a fantastic piece of property on the ocean, and I will build an awesome house that is a gathering place for our family. And hopefully, that will not include grandchildren in the next decade. You shouldn't feel alone because so many people have anxiety about toxic relationships related to their families and how they have to confront them during the holidays. So here's the thing I want you to think about when it comes to the holidays. Holidays can be one of two things when you have toxic relationships with your family. It can either be a personal challenge or it can be a chance to have a personal transformation. And the personal transformation that I'm talking about is not changing your mother or your annoying older brother or your racist aunt. I'm talking about whether or not you have a personal transformation, because you can't fully get rid of toxic situations or toxic people, but you can transform how you behave when you're around those kinds of people. So the holidays can be a chance for you to practice boundaries, practice self-control, to be emotionally resilient and strong and not get triggered, and to also have the courage to express the new you, to express your true self. So if you left home a long time ago, you've grown as a person, you've changed, you've evolved, and then every time you go back home, you feel like you've stepped into a time warp and you're suddenly 8 years old again, this is a chance to transform yourself so that when you walk in the door, you are who you are now, not who you used to be when you still lived at home. And so there's a couple things that I want you to think about before you go home, before you have the interaction, so that you are prepared emotionally to make this a transformation for yourself personally. Number one, don't assume the old role that you used to play. So just because you're in your childhood home or you're with people that you know from your childhood, do not make the mistake of falling back into old patterns. Don't suddenly start acting like the youngest one again. If you're the youngest in your family, if you're always been dad's favorite and everybody hates that, stop playing into it. So there are things that we do that we don't even realize when we step into our childhood homes or around the people that we grew up with, where we slip right back into old patterns. Make sure you know what those are so that you have them in check for yourself. Number two, this is a huge one. Don't take the bait. This was advice that I got from my brother a long time ago. Don't take the bait. You know that there are relatives and friends from your past that just love to cast the guilt. They just love to cause issues. They're constantly casting like a fisherman, all kinds of things out there. And if you're the kind of person like I used to be, when somebody gets upset, you grab the bait and then you start trying to make it okay. And the next thing you know, you're arguing with somebody over something really stupid. Just don't take it. Don't let yourself get triggered. If somebody's casting the guilt, let them cast. Don't hit that lure. You know what I'm saying? They're welcome to say whatever they want to say. If you don't react, there's no issue. You don't have to worry about making sure that your mom or your dad doesn't say that stuff. Just don't react to it. And you'll be shocked at how the dynamic changes. You know, this is another piece of advice that my friend Danielle gave me today, and it comes from the Calm app. You can also, before you go into the situation, visualize the really busy road. Now, in a very busy road, there are people that are passengers in those cars, and there are people that are pedestrians on the sidewalk who are watching the cars go by. I want you to think about the dynamic in your family as cars zipping down the highway, right? Everybody's got all kinds of issues and conversations and kids and this and that, and people want attention, and there's all kinds of things racing by. Your role when you're around your family is to be a pedestrian on the sidewalk, watching it all go by. This is another form of not taking the bait. The last thing you want to do when your mom pulls the guilt train up is to climb on board and be a passenger on that ride, okay? You know what I'm saying? You're going to stay on the sidewalk. You're not going to take the bait. You're just going to watch the traffic as it speeds and whips by. Don't climb in when the guilt car pulls up, okay? Next thing, this has also been a major thing for me, empathy. Empathy is a superpower. My relationship with my mom changed dramatically for the better when I stopped judging her and I started thinking about what she must be feeling. Seriously. Like if you've got somebody in your life that's angry, that says hurtful things, that's disappointed or upset, all of those things, anger, pain, disappointment, it's all just a mask for hurt. So any kind of toxic behavior that you're seeing in other people, unless it's some sort of narcissism personality disorder, for most normal human beings, if they're exhibiting bad behavior, it's literally just unexpressed hurt. That's all that it is. And a healthy dose of empathy, like thinking about how hard it was in the household where your parents grew up, or thinking about all the struggles that maybe one of your siblings who's really annoying because they take up all the energy, how many struggles they've faced, or thinking about how lonely your aunt is because your uncle's died. Thinking from a point of view that's empathetic, it's amazing. It's very personally transforming because it helps you set boundaries. It helps you not get triggered. It helps you to be more emotionally mature and resilient. And it will help you make these holidays an opportunity for personal transformation instead of a massive personal challenge.
I used to be the kind of person that had zero boundaries. I mean, nada, nothing, zilch, nothing. In fact, there were periods of my life where it was worse than zero because I was so attached in romantic relationships that I literally would become like a human amoeba in my romantic relationships. I mean, I was like, literally, if it's possible to have negative boundaries, meaning you like somehow go in a totally different direction, that was me. And so if somebody as insecure and as emotionally attached in relationships and as people-pleasing as me can figure out how to identify, communicate, and uphold boundaries in my life, you can learn how to do this too, okay? And so that's what we're gonna unpack in this video. So I think a big question, because a lot of people talk about boundaries, they know they need boundaries, but they don't have good boundaries. Why is that? Well, the reason why we don't have good boundaries is because none of us were trained how to set them. I mean, I want you to think about your childhood for a minute. Your childhood with your caregivers, your parents, your grandparents, whoever, it is naturally an imbalance, right? Like when you come into this world, you are born into a particular family. You're born into a particular culture, religion, economic situation, a place in the world, a race, like a religion. And based on where you were born and to whom you were born into in terms of the family structure, there were all kinds of rules that you had to follow. And if you did not follow those rules, there were consequences. And so can you imagine if you, as like an 8-year-old, started to try to express boundaries, literally, like mom cooks a pot roast dinner, and you cross your arms, you're like, mom, this is a boundary cross for me. I have decided that I am no longer eating meat. Your mom would probably go, guess what, youngster? You not eating dinner is a boundary crossing for me. You're not getting up from this table until you finish what's on your plate. And so saying boundaries when you're little doesn't really work for the adults in your life. And that's why you never learned how to do it. And by the way, your parents were probably never taught how to have boundaries either. And so I want to start at the very beginning, okay? Where do you even begin? Where do you even begin when it comes to learning how to set healthy boundaries, okay? So first things first, where you're going to begin is you're going to start to think about boundaries in a completely new way, okay? The number one mistake that we all make, I made it, you're making it right now, is when you think about boundaries, you are thinking about other people first, okay? You're thinking about boundaries and believing that your boundaries are rules in a relationship that define respect, and that somehow your boundaries are going to control or change someone else's behavior. That is the exact opposite of how you should be thinking about boundaries, okay? I didn't realize this. This is why I was lousy at setting boundaries, because I thought that my boundaries control what other people do. No, 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 no. So how do I want you to think about boundaries, okay? Boundaries are rules that you create about your own behavior. And I'm going to take this a little bit further now.
What I'm actually talking about is I'm going to help you identify situations, people, any kind of experience you might find yourself in where your boundary defines what you're going to do in reaction to something that's going on around you. Okay? Because I think what I'm seeing a lot of online are two things. It's this sort of quick Instagram advice where it's like, you've crossed a boundary. You're a toxic person. You're no longer in my life. When the truth is, the behavior that we really need to be policing is our own. The opportunity for growth and the way that boundaries can support you is in looking at what you need to change when it comes to certain people, certain situations, or certain choices and habits that you have, okay? And we're going to unpack this, don't worry. But I really want to kind of land here because if you start to turn the focus back on yourself, you're going to have a much easier time with applying the 5 rules around boundaries that I'm about to teach you. Okay, so rule number 1, always focus on yourself, what you will and what you won't allow, okay? Always focus on yourself, what you will and won't allow. Do not try to control other people because you can't, okay? Think about boundaries as guardrails that you set for yourself. And I'm going to give you a quick example. We all have that relative that loves to hear them talk about politics, right? Like it's super annoying. They're constantly going on and on about politics, okay? And you want this relative of yours to stop talking about politics around you, okay? What if I told you that expressing a boundary with a relative, telling them to stop talking about politics around you, will probably only increase the likelihood that they're going to? And so the better way to think about boundaries is not, what do I need to say to Uncle Joe so that Uncle Joe does not talk about politics around me? That's not how you do this. You don't go, Uncle Joe, you're crossing a line with me. You're crossing a boundary. I need you to stop talking about politics. Let's just role play that for a minute. How do you think that's going to work? That ain't going to work very well, is it? No, because then Uncle Joe's going to flare up and then you're going to flare up. And now instead of having a boundary that you held, you've got a gigantic mess that's been made. Instead, you got to think about that boundary with you, okay? What are you going to do? And there are 2 examples of this. You could decide that if that relative starts sounding off about politics, that is a boundary for you, and you will remove yourself from the room. That's an example of how you can set a boundary. Another example is you could say something to Uncle Joe, and you could say, hey, Uncle Joe, I love you, and I'd love to have you over for dinner. But if you plan on talking about politics when we're together, we're not going to have dinner. You have defined what you will tolerate and not. You didn't say, do not talk about politics. You said, I love you. If we're going to have dinner together, I'd love to have you over for dinner, but not if we're talking politics. You've given Uncle Joe the option to talk politics or not. You've just made it clear where you stand, which is we're not having dinner together if you opt to do that. Do you see how that's about your behavior? You've made it clear what you're going to do, but Uncle Joe now has a choice to either respect the boundary or not.
2 wins is a way to practice gratitude and to train yourself to start to see what's going right in your life, celebrate and claim the wins that you see in your life, and also claim the wins that you want to create in the future. So here's the way that Chris and I have been doing it. Chris and I, every single day, whether we're taking a walk in the morning or we're sitting having coffee in the morning, or we do it with our kids at dinner at night, we've done it with friends. It's starting to spread like wildfire through my company as everybody's taking it on because it's really fun. And here is the simple way you do 2 wins. You ready? 2 wins, the way that we've been doing it is I know I'm going on and on and on. I'm a little ADD right now. We just got out of the house for a 3-day.
The way we've been doing it wrong.
Oh, the way we've been doing it. First, let me tell you how we've been doing it.
We have been telling ourselves and each other what's one win in the last 90 days and what is a win that you've had in the last 24 hours. And what I love about it, as I explained on this video that we did on Instagram that went crazy viral and you guys had all kinds of questions about, is you had questions about, do you have to say it out loud? Yes, you do. Because part of it is not just thinking it, it's starting to express it and allowing somebody else in your life to hear it so that they can hold space for your wins and help you celebrate too. But the piece that we've been missing, Chris, is we've been missing the piece that is the third part. So 90 days, last 24 hours. You need to claim the win you want to create in the next 90 days. Pretty cool, huh?
And that also can
Eyes on the road.
every day.
Yeah, and that can change every day. And so that was one of the big questions. When you celebrate your wins, you do your 3 wins. That's what we're calling it, 3 wins. We were calling it 2 wins. But this is now called the 3 wins. As you speak what your wins are past 90 days, past 24 hours, you then claim and speak what you want your win to be and are going to work for in the next 90 days. I love this. I love this. Claiming your wins. So Chris and I are going to do this right now so that you can watch how we do it. 3 wins. Yes, we are. So in the last 90 days, a big win for me having a daughter who is starting her senior year in college and who seems so happy that we've not heard from her literally in like 5 days. And that's a huge win because normally I hear from her every day, but when she's happy and busy, we don't hear from her. So that's a big win for me. Last 24 hours, big win. Or not even a big win, a small win. A small win is that I've gotten into the car here with Chris and we are heading
That's a huge win.
We are heading out to celebrate our 26th wedding anniversary away for 3 nights. I will take responsibility for the fact that eyes on the road, please. I'd like to get there.
But you're so beautiful.
Oh, that's a win. But my husband just complimented me.
Wow.
No, but I am 2 hours late. We thought we would leave by 1:15. It is 3:15. So it's a big win that I'm in the car and about to have 3 days with Chris. And now I'm going to claim a win in the next 90 days. A win I'm going to claim in the next 90 days. I feel like this anniversary is a big anniversary for us. 26 years. Especially after what has been a really hard 2 years. And in the next 90 days, the win that I'm going to claim is that we're going to look at each other and go, oh my God, we have launched a whole new chapter in our marriage. And it's the best, most exciting, amazing, sexy, fabulous one yet.
And you got to view this moment like a test. And what is the test testing? It's testing who you are. That's part of the race right now, how you show up for it, right? It's not a matter of how you finish it. It's how you show up for it and what you do while you're running it, the kind of racer that you are. And look, I get it. This is a very difficult race that we're all running because we don't know where the finish line is. And it is very, very hard to stay motivated, which is the advice that you're seeking, Peter, when you don't even know when this damn thing is ending. This is the part of the race. I've run 4 marathons. Don't everybody gasp. I mean, it was nothing to brag about. I mean, I finished them, which is something to brag about, but it's not like I won the damn thing. But this is the point in time when you're running a race, when you said you're losing ground. What that means is you're starting to slow down. You feel your legs getting heavier. You feel your breath getting a little bit more shallow. You start to wonder, oh, why did I sign up for this thing in the first place? You start to wonder if you are going to make it. And so here's what I'm going to tell you, Peter. When you are coaching your clients and your clients start to lose ground, when you are coaching your clients and your clients don't feel motivated and they feel tired and they feel like giving up and they don't want to do another set of burpees, what do you tell them? You tell them to dig deeper. You tell them to find the strength within them to keep going. You see, what you need right now is you need to start building the motivation of your mind, because motivation doesn't exist in your body. It comes from up here. And what I hear is that you now have an opportunity. This is what the test is, Peter, to train harder, because you are capable of so much more. This is handing you a moment where you get to become an even stronger and more capable version of yourself. Now, does that mean that you're going to be motivated all day long, every single day that you wake up? No. But it means you've got to have the mental fitness right now to continue to get up, to show up, and to dig deeper when it comes to your mindset, when it comes to your attitude, when it comes to your just knowing that you are going to get through this. And so this moment, everybody, it's telling you who you are. It's telling you whether or not you're the kind of person that shows up to a challenge and you're pissed off, or you're sad, or you feel depressed, or you feel despair, or you feel all of these things that start to take you down the drain of negativity. And what I'm here to tell you is that you are built for this moment. You may not feel like it. You may feel sad. Those are all normal feelings. You may feel negative. It's very easy to do. You may start to feel a little bit of despair. That's going to come and go. But this is where the test of this race that we're currently running lies. When those feelings rise up and you start losing ground and you start feeling like you're not going to make it to the finish line and you start feeling unmotivated, can you dig deeper and remind yourself that you were built for this moment? Because one of the things that I know is that when the shit is hitting the fan, I guarantee you there are people in your life that are looking to you. There are people in your life, whether it's clients or colleagues or family members, that are looking to you right now. You know what that tells me? That you're the kind of person that people rely on. And now is the moment in time in the race that we're all running where you got to teach yourself to rely on yourself. How do you do that? How do you build the muscle of the mind? It's very simple. Very simple. I didn't say easy. I said simple. The steps are very simple. To win this race and to build strength in this muscle right up here, you got to focus on the shit you can control. And that is what you do with your body and what you do with your mind. And the one thing that has made a huge difference in me, because you can see that I am showing up as a very different Mel Robbins than I've been the last couple weeks. The last couple weeks, I have been losing the race. I've been going up and down. I've been doing my best to stay positive, but I am now back in the race. I have now found my ground and found my footing. And it comes in focusing on what you can control. And you know what you can control? There's only one thing. It's what are you doing to make this day the best day that you can do? What are you doing to master this day today? Tomorrow, forget about next week, forget about what's happening this summer. This is a race that will be won by those of you who are the ability to focus on today and making today amazing. I think most of us have an experience, especially as women, where we feel and know that we are last on our own lists. That if we tell somebody else we're going to do something, we will be there. But when we promise ourselves we're not going to have a drink tonight, or we're going to get up tomorrow morning early and journal or go for a walk, or we're going to lose weight and stick to some healthy goals because we know we deserve to feel better,
we abandon those promises over and over and over again. And one of the things that I've come to learn about myself and that I've come to learn about human behavior in general is the reason why we women do that is because we've been trained to. And we don't even need to go into it, but anybody that was raised in a household in a traditional gender sense who saw behavior modeled for them around being a good daughter or watching your mom tirelessly take care of your grandparents or her partner or her friends, watch her be exhausted, you start to learn that pattern yourself. You start to learn that people like you and they love you more when you behave and when you take care of them. And so we do more and more and more of it. And there's substantial research in every aspect of a woman's life that this is true. It's also true in your job. You probably are the caretaker at work. You bring in the cupcakes for birthdays. You're picking up after the meetings. And we're not being asked to. It's how we've been trained to develop worth. If somebody else is happy with me, then I can be happy with myself. As long as I'm not disappointing somebody, then I'm okay. And what I really had a breakthrough around for myself, and especially as a businesswoman, and learning how to create better deals, ask for my value, learning how to not feel guilty about going after my dreams and how that might impact my kids in some way. I had a huge breakthrough when I realized that the foundation to success and happiness and fulfillment begins with your relationship with yourself. And for women in particular, we have to it's not even retrain ourselves because we were never taught how to put ourselves first. We have to teach ourselves that it's not only important, it is crucial that you learn how to show up for yourself. And so what does that actually mean? What that means is that when you make a promise, as simple as a promise that says, I'm not going to have a glass of wine tonight, that you develop the skill and you put systems in place that support you in keeping that promise. That when you say you're going to get out of bed in the morning because you know you feel much better if you take a half an hour for yourself, that you get your ass out of bed in the morning. Why? Because you said you would. And so when you develop skills of keeping simple promises to yourself, what you're doing is you're building a habit of putting your word first. You're putting you're putting into practice via your behavior that what you say to yourself in terms of what you're promising that you would do, that it matters to you. And you have to do that because otherwise, if we don't learn how to do that for ourselves, what happens for most women is we get into these issues with relationships where I don't know if you ever had this issue, but geez, Louise, it seems like every relationship I had until I met Chris, and then this was even an issue in the beginning of our marriage, I literally lost my identity. I would take on every musical taste, food taste. I would get absorbed into my boyfriend's friend group. I became defined by whether or not I was in a relationship to someone else. They came first. Their interests came first. And the biggest breakthrough in your life and in your business will happen when you learn how to have that relationship with yourself, right? Where you learn how to put your needs first. And until you learn how to do that, and it's practiced by keeping the little promises to yourself, not drinking the glass of wine if that's what you said, exercising or walking the dog if that's what you said, getting out of bed when the alarm rings if that's what you said you would do. And most of us can't even do that, which is why we know we can't count on ourselves to do the big things. I haven't lost anybody that I love. So I would not say what I'm about to say if somebody that I loved had died in this pandemic. But I have found the great pause that the last 2 months have forced me to take to be the greatest gift that I have received in the last decade. My kids have been home. I have been off the road. I have been forced to slow down. I have been reminded of what actually matters, your health, your family, your friends, what you're doing to take care of your mind and your body and your spirit, and making sure that you do something with the time that you have that you really, really enjoy. And the other thing that it's really made me stop and think about is making sure that I'm having fun, that my whole life isn't just work. And it's made me really start to think about the fact that I don't want to go back to the life that I was living before the pandemic hit. How many of you feel that way? That this has been a gigantic mental perspective switch reset button that has, boom, hit you really hard. And it's this idea that you don't ever start. You stay trapped in your head. And if you feel paralyzed, if you've been spinning the same ideas over and over and over again, then you know what I'm talking about. You see, many of you are thinking way too big. You're attaching way too much pressure on the things that you're interested in. Until you start blogging about fashion, you won't even know if you like it. So thinking that you have a dream about doing it and thinking that you have this grand plan that you're going to do it full time, it is a complete and utter waste of your time to be dreaming that big. And let me tell you why. Because oftentimes, if you're the kind of person like Vicky that's getting trapped up here, the bigness of what you're thinking about is what's stopping you. What I want you to do if you're in Vicky's situation is I want you to stop dreaming and I want you to just start doing small things. I want you to go back to curiosity and less into crushing your big goals. The thing about life and business and success is that you have to be willing to start. And for people that procrastinate, starting is the hardest part. For people that worry, for people that think too big, starting is the hardest part. Folks that study procrastination talk about the fact that the only way to beat procrastination is to create what they call a starting ritual, which is a way to push yourself to get started. Because all the research shows that if we can push you to get started on something, you'll likely keep going. Fulfillment is when you're satisfied because you are fully developing your deepest desires and your character. Fulfillment's very different than happiness, everybody. Happiness comes and goes. Happiness is fleeting. Happiness is like the waves in an ocean, or the waves on Lake Michigan, the Great Lakes here in the United States, which is where I grew up, on Lake Michigan. The waves, they come and they go, right? That's happiness. It comes and it goes. It rolls in and out of your life. And oftentimes it feels like it's out of your control. Fulfillment is the ocean or the Great Lakes itself. Fulfillment is something way deeper. And fulfillment is about integrity and meaning. And the fact that when you have integrity and meaning in your life, you are fulfilled, you are satisfied, because you are fulfilling and fully developing your deepest desires and your character. And this is important. And I'm going to really hammer these words around meaning and, more importantly, integrity. If I had to pick one word that was important when it comes to you deepening your level of fulfillment with your whole life, the word is integrity. Now, this was brand new to me. You know, I always thought about fulfillment like, oh, find your joy, find your passion, find your purpose, like then you'll be fulfilled. Do things that you love, you'll be fulfilled. It actually has more to do with integrity, which is really cool. And, you know, when I explain why integrity is so important, it's also going to illuminate all the places in your life where you're not fulfilled, because I guarantee you The places in your life where you're missing fulfillment are also lacking personal integrity. You're not operating consistently with what you care about. You're not operating with integrity in terms of your values. You're not spending your time, your energy, and your resources on what truly aligns with you from an integrity standpoint. And so that's why we're going to continue to hammer this word integrity, okay? And that's great because when you start to think about cultivating personal integrity and how that translates to more fulfillment in your life, it's going to make that fulfillment something that you can control. It's going to make it deeply personal. It's going to make it something that you can move the needle on. It puts the locus of control within your reach. Let me talk about the two mistakes that everybody makes, okay, when it comes to fulfillment. And this is why fulfillment in some areas of your life are out of reach right now. The number one mistake that we make, if you're struggling with fulfillment in any area of your life, is that you're not living according to your own values. You know, I think we've all gone through those periods of our lives where we are drinking too much, or we're spending too much money, or we're hanging out with the wrong people, or we're making unhealthy choices. And you know deep down inside that this is not what you want to be doing. It's not what you should be doing. But because you are not living based on your own values, you don't respect yourself. There's no way you are going to live a fulfilled life if at the base level, you don't respect the choices that you're making. So can you identify an area of your life right now, either in the chat or in the journal function in the app, an area of your life where you are not living according to your own values? I see health coming up for people. I'm sure if you think about how you're spending your money or whether or not you're saving money, you're not aligned with your values. Maybe you're doing work. I see productivity. I see exercise. So if you're not living according to your own values, this is one reason why you're not going to be fulfilled in your life. The second thing is that you spend your time and your resources on things that actually don't matter to you. You're spending your time and your resources on things that don't matter to you at the deepest level. These are the two big mistakes that we all make. And the good news here is that these are mistakes that you can easily identify, that you can address. And when you do, you take control back and you will amp up the level of fulfillment that you feel. I'm going to say this again. Fulfillment is not the same thing as happiness. Fulfillment is meaning and integrity. And that's why habit number one and building a foundation is about values. Because you will only find fulfillment, true, lasting, deep fulfillment, everybody, if you are following your values like a compass, not your mood. You got to follow your values and let that be your compass. That's how you build the proper foundation. And so what does that mean? What does that mean, everybody? Well, it means you got to figure out what matters to you, okay? And then you must develop the simple discipline to spend your time and energy on things, people, experiences that align with what matters to you. Living with integrity to what matters to you is the secret of fulfillment. And I think, I've alluded to this earlier, but, I can think about times in my life when either what I was doing for work or what I was doing with my free time did not align with my values.
One of the things that has happened, certainly in the pandemic, but it always happens when there's any kind of reckoning in your life, is that when you have something suddenly happen and your life is fundamentally changed, whether it's a death, or somebody says, I don't love you anymore, or you're fired, or you find yourself with a scary health diagnosis, there is a line in the sand. There is a life before that happened, and then a life after that moment happened. And that line in the sand, that reckoning that happens, and it happens for all of us, whether it's happening for you right now or it has happened in the past, I'm telling you, there is a gift inside of this, even the darkest moments, because every single sudden change in your life that makes you feel like you've lost control and you no longer know where you're going, it's like hitting the giant pause button. And if you lean into the moment, there is a chance for tremendous wisdom and growth. There are things that you can do right now in order to take control of where you're going, of what you're thinking about. And you can start to take this moment of change and you can use it to be able to take and make an intentional pivot in the direction that is meant for you next. And one of the things I want to say about this moment is, look, if you're losing loved ones, you are terrified, this has made you lose your job, you feel like you're in that moment where everything, you're falling off a cliff, you're trying to pack a parachute, you're grieving. And so you got to give yourself space to grieve the losses that you're feeling. And when you get a little bit of distance from the grieving and the waves of grief and fear that you're feeling start to space out. They don't ever leave you, but over time, those waves of, holy cow, and I don't want this, and I can't handle this, and why is this happening to me? Time will start to lessen those waves. You will gather your feet underneath you again, and you will absolutely be stronger and be a better version of yourself based on this incredible challenge that you're facing. And I can say that even though you may be facing a tough time, because if you think about your life, you've faced extraordinary challenges and there hasn't been a single one that hasn't made you a better and stronger version of yourself. And this moment will be no different. So I want you to understand that when you get out of the cycle of grief, this is an enormous reckoning, an enormous opportunity for you to hit the pause button and for you to start to ask yourself the question, what do I want my life to look like? Because I think too many of us are sitting here going, I can't wait for my life to get back to normal. I can't wait for this to end. I can't wait to things to go back to normal. And in any moment of reckoning, what happens is there's actually parts of your old life that you don't want to go back to. And there is a tremendous amount that you're learning in this moment that you need to pause and take in and say, okay, based on what I've just learned, based on my old life, when I look ahead to my new life, what is it that I want my new life to look like? This next chapter, I can turn to a blank page, I can take all this wisdom, all this resilience, all this strength, and I can write something new. That's what I want you to know. You don't need to know where the world or where everything is headed. You just need to know where you're going to head next. We tend to think about fear as something that's up here, that the fears are all in our heads. Well, the truth is your body feels fear and remembers fear and senses fear way before your mind does. And the reason why I want to talk to you about this is because, as many of you know, we have a brand new audiobook that just launched with Audible Originals. So Audible Originals is an imprint inside of Audible. We are a major partner of Audible's, and we just released a brand new audiobook. It's their #1 new release on Audible called Take Control of Your Life, How to Silence Fear and Win the Mental Game. And there were some unbelievable things that I learned and that my team learned and that we're now sharing with you in doing that project. So Take Control of Your Life isn't your typical audiobook. It's not me just reading a book that I wrote. What Take Control of Your Life is Take Control of Your Life is a live coaching and takeaway program that's 10 hours long. And so there are 6 people that you meet when you listen to Take Control of Your Life. And they have fears, just like you have fears that are holding them back, just like you have fears that hold you back, fears that impact your life in a negative way. And we go session by session for 6 sessions. You listen to the coaching session, you hear about somebody else's fear, you hear me coaching this person live, and then I spend like 45 minutes unpacking the entire coaching session for you. And on top of it, you guys, there's a 55-page workbook that our team designed that goes along as a companion to this audiobook. And you don't even need to buy the audiobook to get the workbook or to get the takeaways, because I'm giving you the takeaways for free here on our live stream. So if you want the audiobook, just go to melrobbins.com/take control and you can download the audiobook. And what I'm going to talk to you about today is I'm going to talk to you about the session that we did with Heather in Take Control of Your Life. And it's a really incredible session because Heather is held back at work because what happens is when she has to have a really difficult conversation, when there's something that she wants to talk to her boss about, when there's a conflict with one of her colleagues. You ever have a conflict with your colleagues at work? Ever feel like you work in a toxic work environment? Well, this is something that you need to understand. Sometimes the toxicity in your work environment is about the other people. And sometimes the toxicity in your work environment or in your life environment or your friend environment is about stored memories in your body from your childhood. I know it's crazy stuff because the saying, feel the fear and do it anyway, it's true because your body feels situations that set you, that put you in a state of being afraid before your mind catches up and starts thinking about what you're afraid of. And so one of the key takeaways from Take Control, and one of the things that I want to teach you today, is that if you start to tune into your body and you start to notice the signals that your body is sending to you in your day-to-day life, signals like butterflies in your stomach, signals like feeling a rush of energy up to your neck, signals like your armpits sweating, signals like your hands getting sweaty, signals that your body is stepping and noticing a situation that reminds it of your past. Learning how to read those signals that, oh my God, here goes my body. My body is starting to recognize that this is a situation that puts me on edge. Recognizing those signals first and slowing the body response down before your brain starts to go, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. That is a critical skill in taking control of your life. I want to tell you a little bit about the science. So there's this famous neuroscientist called Antonio Damasio, and he did a really interesting study where he discovered that our body senses fear before our mind even realizes it. And when fear or danger, speaking to your boss, calling a prospect, going to the gym when you're not proud of the way that you look, and it's not fear like terror. It's more that low-grade agitation in your body. I felt it yesterday because I went to a boot camp class yesterday, and I'm not in good shape, and I don't do boot camp classes, and Kendall and I are staying at this hotel where, holy cow, everybody seems like there's some sort of professional weightlifter or Instagram model, and so it was really intimidating, and I could feel that agitation in my body. That's the kind of fear I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the paralysis fear your life is threatened and you really are in a life or death situation. I'm talking about the low-grade agitation that is there when you're about to do something that makes you feel a little uncomfortable. So when fear or danger is sensed in the body, your body begins a stress response before your mind even catches up. And if you want to take control of your life, you got to take control of that physical state. And it starts with catching these moments, everyone, when you start to feel it. Okay. And so for some of you, it may be a pit in the stomach. For some of you, it may be tightening in the chest. For Heather, who was one of the people I coached in Take Control, it was this massive wave of heat that went into her chest, tightness, a rash, and then she could start to feel that she was crying. You need to understand how do you react to situations that make you nervous. Whatever it is that you're dealing with in your life right now, it can put blinders on you because you have to deal with your aging parent. You have to deal with the illness that's in front of you. But it is so critical that you still dream. Why? Because dreams transport you from the day to day. Dreams give you a beacon to look up. Because dreams will remind you that the situation that you're facing right now is temporary. Dreams will remind you that even if the situation isn't temporary. Let's say that you've got some horrendous degenerative disease. And so it's going to get worse, not better. Dreams still give you a purpose to live a bigger life despite what you're dealing with. Now, you may not have the bandwidth to pursue your dreams because of how sick your parents are. That's okay. It won't always be like this. But it is critical that as a form of self-love, as a form of self-care, that you still build the skill of holding space for your dreams and writing those dreams down every day and thinking about those dreams and reading about those dreams, because they will help you move through the chapter of the life that you're in more powerfully, more grounded, and more fulfilled.
I'm sure you've heard the advice that in order to grow and be a happier person, you have got to cut the toxic people out of your life. You know, it seems like everyone online is saying it right now.
The people that you spend time with are going to make or break your dreams. Everybody don't deserve to be around you. You got to defend your light with your life.
And generally, I agree with that advice. I think I even told you that you need to do a friend cleanse when people get negative. I got no time for negativity, especially from people online. But there's a major difference between a toxic person online and a toxic friend or family member in real life. Look, if the toxic person is online or it's an acquaintance from a long time ago, that's easy. Just hit delete, because there's absolutely no reason why you should tolerate anything but positive, hilarious, and inspiring content in your social media feeds. In fact, I personally unfollow people all week long. And I've even noticed that as my goals and my priorities change, the accounts that I follow change too. But let's talk about the harder issue. How do you unfriend someone in real life? First of all, if it's a friend or family member that's starting to rub you the wrong way, don't be an ass. Don't ghost people. Don't ignore them. That behavior is not only cowardly, it is also toxic on your part too. When you have somebody in your life that is toxic, it's an opportunity for you to grow. Because this person didn't start off toxic, they probably turned toxic. When somebody turns toxic, it almost always is a sign that there's something either wrong with them or there's something going on with you. So before you unfriend someone in real life, I want you to stop and make sure you've done your part of being a friend. Now, there's a simple two-part test that you should give yourself before you unfriend somebody. Here's what you do. Step 1, ask yourself, what emotion comes up for me? Worry and concern? Or is it resentment and annoyance? If it's worry and concern that comes up for you when you think about this person, very simple answer on your hands here. Pick up the phone and just reach out. But if what's coming up for you when you think about this person is resentment and annoyance, it's time for you to go a little deeper to step 2. The second thing I want you to do is I want you to ask yourself, why are you annoyed? Why do you resent this person? And look, if you're annoyed because they're a shallow, backstabbing and their behavior is violating your values and boundaries, easy, unfriend. However, even the in your life can teach you something. If you look a little deeper when you ask yourself the question, why am I so annoyed by this person? There's almost always something going on with you, because there's a lot of jerks in the world that you're going to bump into that don't trigger you at all. But there's something about this person that's striking something deeper that you need to deal with. You're triggered. And a trigger is always an opportunity for you to heal something. Unfriending somebody is the easy way out, but when you do it, you miss out on a powerful moment of self-reflection and growth. The fact is, the negativity that you're feeling, the resentment, the annoyance, the judgment, it's toxic inside of you. And so giving yourself a moment before you unfriend, that is powerful, because the negativity you feel, the resentment, the toxicity, it disappears. when you stop yourself from throwing in the towel and you choose to throw yourself and your friend a lifeline instead. And here's the reason why it's so important for you to stop and reflect for real. Friendships are a give and take, and you are a part of the give and take. And if you give this friend the cold shoulder, you're going to take this pattern of ghosting people and unfriending people and deciding that people are toxic into every future friendship that you create. And I promise you, whatever it is that's triggering you right now in this friend that you're pissed off about, it's going to show up in friends in the future. This is a pattern in your life, and with all patterns, they repeat unless you break them apart and replace them. So, once you've checked in with yourself, check in with your friend. It's as easy as picking up the phone and saying hello. And what do you say? How do you do this? You just lead with kindness. You can apologize for how you've contributed to the distance between the two of you. You can say, I've missed you. Their response will tell you everything you need to know about the friendship. And honestly, what happens to the friendship is beside the point. By choosing to check in before you unfriend, it tells me everything that I need to know about you. By hitting pause, by self-reflecting, that's the work that you do to become a better friend to yourself. Every single day when you wake up, you can decide who you're going to be. And the reason why it's so important to wake up and either consciously choose, decide, or set an intention about who you're going to be is because if you don't consciously decide who you're going to be, your habits, your old patterns, and the stress of the day will decide it for you. We learn patterns from other people, and then we repeat those patterns. If you find that you're stuck in a rut, or you're overwhelmed, or you're in a negative place, and you are really tired of being there, the first step to getting the life that you want is you must wake up every morning and interrupt the patterns and the automatic nature of how you go through your day, just going through the motions. And the simplest way to do that is to wake up and set an intention. What mood are you going to be in? How are you going to behave? What are you going to show up and do today? Are you going to be motivated? Are you going to be patient? Are you going to be present? Are you going to be grateful? Those are decisions that you can make. And when you wake up in the morning and you set an intention and you give yourself an anchor to keep coming back to, so that when something stresses you out, or you catch yourself thinking negative things, or you get a text or somebody doesn't respond to you and you start to feel discouraged, come back to your intention. Today I said I would see the good. That's what I mean when I say decide who you're gonna be today. Fear is real, but I am going to share a secret weapon that I have used for years to beat every single fear that used to stop me. You're going to use my 5-second rule in combination with what I call an anchor thought, and that is going to reframe what your mind is doing so that your mind goes from feeling agitation and making you afraid to reframing it from agitation to excitement. It works like magic. Now, I have used this technique for years, literally for years. And one of the ways that I want to introduce you to it is I want to take you backstage. I want to take you backstage to a speech that I delivered this year. And what you're going to see is you're going to see me behind the major set. I'm about to walk out. You can kind of hear the crowd roaring. My introductory video is playing. My body is in a state of arousal. I am literally, my heart is racing, my arms are sweating. Like, you're going to see this. And you're going to watch me use this same technique I'm going to teach you to reframe my nerves into excitement. Check this out.
All right, I'm about to go on stage. There are 7,000 people out there, and it's so exciting because what they don't know is they're about to learn the 5-second rule, and their lives will never be the same again. Now, I got to tell you, my heart is racing. My armpits are sweating. I have the exact same physiological feeling as when I'm afraid, but I'm not afraid. I'm excited. Excitement and fear is the exact same thing in your body. It's just what your brain calls it. Here's a trick that's proven by science that I use every time I speak. When I start to sweat, when I start to have butterflies, when I start to have my heart race, I say, I'm excited. I'm excited to get out there. I'm excited to talk to these people. I'm excited to share the 5-second rule. And what that does is it sends a message to my brain that tells my brain why my body's all agitated and excited. And that way, I don't feel afraid. Remember, excitement and fear, exact same thing in your body. The only difference is what your brain calls it.
Because you made it this far in a video, I want to celebrate you. Most people start and don't finish. Most people never actually follow through. Most people say they want something, but they don't ever do the work to actually get it. But you are different. You are special. Believe Nation, you made it here all the way to the end, and I love you. So as a special celebration, if you put a hashtag believe down in the comments below on this video, I will showcase you and celebrate you somewhere on the screen in a future video because you are awesome. For 10 more amazing rules from Gabby Bernstein, check the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
To truly manifest means that you feel good. Feeling good means your energy's free, you're inspired, you are receptive, and therefore attracting towards you what you desire. So if we're in a place now